Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sonic Chronicle. My name is Owen, and today we're going to take another look at a number of these classic rock and roll album covers. If you missed the first video that I did, it was a little bit less elegant than this, but I think it would serve to be, functional enough and educational enough as well. But we looked at rock covers from this calendar from the 1st of January up to the 7th of January. We finished off with Sonic Youth 30, so we're going to look at the 7th to the 14th. As always, if you like what I do, please do like this video. Leave me comments in the comment section below if we come across any of your favourite albums, and of course subscribe to the channel so that you let me know that you want to see more of what I do, and so that you don't miss any future videos as well. Okay, so we're going to start, and we're going to move over to the 8th of January, and we have Elvis, Blue Hawaii. So Elvis's Blue Hawaii, RCA 1961, but January 8th, 1935, Elvis, I presume that's his date of birth, January the 8th, 1935, Elvis Aaron Presley, Tupelo, Mississippi. This is from, obviously, the movie Blue Hawaii that Elvis was in. Elvis was in, if you're unaware, Elvis was in a number of films around that time. There was Blue Hawaii, there was G.I. Blues, there was, what's the one where he's on the Vespa? Can't remember the name of it. But yes, Elvis was in a lot of movies. Rather than going off to the army, I suppose. So yes, Elvis's Blue Hawaii. I'm not familiar with the track listing on it, but I do know the title track, and it is quite a good one if you're into your old rock and roll music. Next up then, apparently there's a variety of other ones. There's punk, there's metal, there's hip hop, jazz, rock, and soundtracks as well. Just a little promo for them. But then the next album cover that we have here is the 9th of January, the Rolling Stones' Some Girls. Again, not too familiar with this particular record. This one here, obviously got the ladies listed on the front here, who are actually just members of the Rolling Stones, superimposed with ladies' hair on them. Holy molies, I just looked it up on Wikipedia. Some Girls is the 14th studio album by the Rolling Stones. 14th album in 1978. That is absolutely wild stuff. Seems as though this was quite a controversial album due to some racial overtones, or I suppose explicit racial lyrics within that album itself. So it was actually boycotted by black radio stations in the US. The more you know. On the 10th of January, who do we have? Oh, David Bowie with the album Derham 1967. Actually, this is David Bowie's first album. Derham was the label that David Bowie released it under. The thing about David Bowie is, obviously, this isn't the look that we know David Bowie to have. You know, we think of like the Duke, the pale white Duke. We think of like Aladdin Sane. You know, we think of Ziggy Stardust, all that kind of stuff. But people don't often think of this era of Bowie, which is kind of when he was like a pop kind of teen heartthrob. I suppose, at the time. It was very, very different to what we know David Bowie to be these days. Less of the avant-garde and something that was, more contemporary for the time. But yeah, that's Bowie. That's the start of his career. Next up, on the 11th of January, the Ramones' Rocket to Russia. Rocket to Russia it's one of those Ramones albums that, has quite a few of its classic songs on there. It's got like Rockaway Beach, it's got Teenage Lobotomy, it's got The Surfin' Bird, if you're aware of that. They covered that on Rocket to Russia. It's a good album. It actually features my favourite song by the Ramones. I think it's my favourite songs. It's one of my favourite songs of the Ramones. It's Sheena is a Punk Rocker. It's got this real kind of this going to the hop kind of sound to it, a real kind of old sound, like 50s kind of sound. Whereas, the lyrics are that, Sheena is a punk rocker, she's, she's different to everyone else, she's rebelling against things. And that's something that really stood out to me when I was younger, particularly when I was getting into punk rock. The Ramones were a big part of that after, obviously, bands that were current to my time, Green Day, and then Stiff Little Fingers, and I kind of went back to the Ramones then as well. Personally, I'm more of a fan of later Ramones work, so around like the 80s kind of stuff. Pet Sematary, She Talks to Trees, that kind of thing. But this is still a very, very good album. If you get a chance to listen to it, I recommend that you do so. So that's the 11th of January. 12th of January, Dire Straits, Phonogram, 1978. Sorry, again, apologise. This is just Dire Straits, self-titled, released under Phonogram. This is an interesting one, because this one has probably the biggest Dire Straits song on it. This has Sultans of Swing on it. But it also has other songs like Down to the Waterline. It's got Water of Love on there, which are both great songs. If you haven't heard those, I recommend that you do go and listen to those. But then it has some other stuff on there, like Wild West End, In the Gallery. Yeah, it's a good album. It's a good album. It's not as well known or as well loved, obviously, compared to Brothers in Arms, which I think everyone has and is universally loved and praised. But this one is kind of a good starting point for the band, because it doesn't show everything they can do, obviously, so the difficult second album becomes less difficult, but it still has a lot of that quality that Mark Knopfler has when it comes to both writing and his guitar playing. Okay, so following on from Dire Straits' self-titled album released 1978, on January 13th we have The Joshua Tree by U2. So regardless of what you think of Bono these days, and there is a lot to criticise him for these days, particularly here in Ireland, I think that we don't let him away with anything, particularly due to moving his money out of the country so that he doesn't get taxed when we removed the artist taxation cap, tax exemption cap. When you look at his actions in America, quite performative when it comes to obviously Israel's occupation of Palestine, and when it comes to him talking a good game for humanitarian rights, but then obviously then comes out and supports Israel and Netanyahu and what they're doing to the people over there. It really doesn't fly with us over here. However, when it comes to the music, when it comes to U2 as a whole, I don't think it really gets much better than The Joshua Tree. The Joshua Tree has all the classics, well, a lot of the classics from the 80s, which again to me is probably the best era of U2. The 90s, there's some good stuff in there. The 2000s, not fantastic stuff. They've got some hits, but I don't think it's particularly strong in terms of writing. And then the 2010s, they completely used their own themselves. In fact, here in Ireland, they have not had a number one song in the charts since 2014. Anyway, coming back to The Joshua Tree, Where the Streets Have No Name is on there, Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, With or Without You, Bullet the Blue Sky, In God's Country, Mothers of the Disappeared. There's some really, really strong songs on here. It also led to the Joshua Tree tour, which also then led to, I believe, the Rattle and Hum film. And that is actually, again, regardless of what you think of U2, it's actually a really, really good film about concerts, about a band touring. It's a really good concert, or a really good film about a band that are incredibly popular at the top of their game, who can kind of go out and do whatever they want, and seeing what comes from that. So I would recommend that if you can source that, do so. I have a copy of it myself on DVD that I purchased many years ago, that I might dig out and have another look at again. Anyway, The Joshua Tree, its importance, I suppose, as well, can't be overstated as well. Like, you've seen all these tracks on all kinds of media. You've seen them on, like, you've seen With or Without You on Friends, for Christ's sake. It's inescapable in terms of its influence. And our final record that we're going to look at here, our album cover that we're going to look at here, Iron Maiden, The Number of the Beast. Great album. Great song, great album. So this is Iron Maiden's, I suppose, let's take a quick look here. This is their third studio album. So they are well established at this point. People know what the crack is with them. They're a metal band. This little devil guy here, I imagine, would have been, still in 1982, quite provocative for the public generally. This album features tracks, this, like all albums by Iron Maiden, all the songs are, well, all of them except for the years in which Steve Harris, I don't believe he was in the band at one point or another. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. But he wrote all the songs on this, and most other Iron Maiden albums. This album has obviously the title track, The Number of the Beast, but also has the bangers Run to the Hills and Hallowed Be Thy Name as well. In addition to like The Prisoner, Children of the Damned. And this album has been out in 1982. I saw Iron Maiden perform the entire album live in 2007. So that would have been the 25th anniversary of The Number of the Beast. Great show. If you get a chance to go see Iron Maiden, absolutely jump on that opportunity. Go see them. And of course we've got the perennial mascot over here on the album cover, Eddie the Ed, as they call him. I've got a couple of Iron Maiden records downstairs myself. Always a good one to stick on when you're in the mood for some power metal. Well, I suppose, are they power metal? It's just the gallop that makes it feel like power metal. I mean, sometimes the Iron Maiden songs can feel quite similar to one another because of that galloping feel, but then they just do something in the middle that makes it feel completely different, completely separate, even though really they are kind of a one-trick pony. Alright, and that's it for this week. That's where we're going to leave it. We've got some The Art of Rock covers. We've got some more of them down. That's January 7th, January 14th done. And look, maybe we'll take another look at some of these next week as well. If you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this kind of stuff and have it dropped directly into your subscriber feed as well. It also helps me out greatly because it tells YouTube that people are watching and people are subscribing to the channel. And of course, leave me comments in the comment section below as well to tell me how wrong I am about all of these albums and the information that I've given you about these albums. As I said though, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!